You're live.
I call this meeting of the Perryton Independent School District to order. Let the record show that the quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and the notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Dear Heavenly Father, just thank you for letting us be here today, and just help us as we go over matters for Perryton ISD, and let us make wise decisions for Perryton ISD. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Okay. Anyone signed up for open forum? No open forum. Okay. This board will now adjourn into executive session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meeting Act 551.074, discussing personnel or to hear complaints against personnel. There we go. I call this meeting back to order. Okay, first on the agenda, consideration and possible action on TEA waiver for parent notice requirements for students at risk of failure.
Yes, this is one of the major reasons we had this meeting. This is a waiver that has to be done before July 5th, and we didn't hear word on it until after our last meeting. But basically, this is where the kids, since we didn't do STAR tests, we're going to use that data to hold the kid back and risk of flunking. So we have to do this waiver so that we can start evaluating them at the beginning of the school year. So I recommend that we approve this waiver.
Okay. All right, I have a motion and a second to approve a TEA waiver for parent notice requirements for students at risk of failure. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Next, we have consideration and possible action on Wisdom Learning Management System.
Okay, guys, this is what we talked a little bit about last time. This is a student learning management system. The whole reason we've even looked at these management systems is because of distance learning. If kids choose to stay at home this year, we have to provide an education for them. And it's going to be a lot tougher this year in that the expectation is it's the same as if they were face-to-face. It can't be different. It can't be less. Broadly, kids still going to take the test. We're still going to be held accountable for the test. We looked at these so that we could improve both distance learning and face-to-face learning. This management system will do both of those. A little pushback that we're getting is that we spend all this time for Google Classroom and getting learning how to use Google Classroom and getting those things done. And, you know, everybody's saying we can still do that. My issue with this one, really, not an issue, but I like is that it's a one place for all the parents to go to. If we use if we got elementary using Dojos, Seesaw, one using Classroom, I mean, you got different programs and the parent has 4 or 5 different kids. They're having to log into 4 or 5 different systems to keep up with the kids. This would allow us to have one system that pulls us all together. And so that's a positive. I am right now recommending to y'all that we probably table this. For the simple fact, I would like to have the assistant superintendent in on that discussion because she's the one who's going to really be using the system if we choose to buy it, or she's the one who's going to be working with Google Classroom to make sure the kids are being educated equitably. That's the whole thing right now, guys.
And I'm perfectly fine with taking that whole list of questions and some concerns.
Oh, yeah.
Jumping right in the middle of this after the only thing we've seen on it is Darren's infomercial from last month.
Right.
His infomercial. He was selling it last month.
So the total cost is $23,455 annually.
And that's based on 2,200 kids.
Yes, it's based on how many kids we have.
That's what says 2,200, so I mean, so if we have less than that.
Less,
I mean, does it slide?
Yeah, it slides according to how many, what your population
One
is.
of the other questions I'm going to ask listed there once here, whether we're looking at utilizing the entire presentation, all of the stuff, even before you get to wisdom with the websites and all this other stuff. But on the detailed invoice here, they did change, I see, from implementation from one campus, they added $100 to it and put it for 6 campuses. But then they got $2,000 here for a 4-hour webinar. One is a little $100% webinar. And is that an annual cost as well?
I think that's
Questions I'm gonna have
yeah,
for next
yeah,
time.
I think that's just to get you introduced to the program and stuff. I don't think that's a yearly deal.
I don't know, I think there'd be a lot of training for partial training, getting us up to speed anyway, is what I would say. The other thing we talked a little bit about is I recommended committees for some teacher feedback here. I would like to table this until we get a little bit better handle on it. I think we made some assumptions, not to be Mr. Barco, but I think we made some assumptions about the teachers, the educators' reaction to it. I would like to see some input from them. You also brought up the other issue that was teachers that are maybe uncomfortable coming back. I think we need to know that number on which teachers.
How many teachers it was?
Yeah, how many teachers was, because I think that's going to drastically affect the demand for this type of system. I think it's here anyway, but I think we may need to rescale it.
Yeah, one of the questions we did, I've met twice, and Rodney can verify this, with our technology people around the district and who does the tech in each building and all that stuff. And we talked about this, and my feeling from them was we stay with Google Classroom, and they would make the improvements on it before we failed last year. So we just tweaked Google Classroom some. I have talked to Dalhart, I have talked to Dumas, and they're staying with Google Classroom. They're not going with a learning management system. So I am doing my homework and trying to check to see what we're doing. The whole thing comes back to it is we have to be better at distance learning than we were last year.
Yes.
It's just that simple. And I don't know if this is the answer or tweaking what we were doing is the answer.
Well, we looked at this and we've got some, and I thought we were using a couple of programs we looked at. Again, I understand there's some strengths in this thing, but when I was quizzing Ms. Erickson at the end of the meeting, I think there's some holes in several of these things. I do agree that what the last thing we want to do is put a different system in on every campus, because I think that's asking for it.
Yeah.
And then we'll be hiring people to try to fix the problems. We don't want to do that. So,
Maybe these systems have a possibility that, going back to the teachers that are uncomfortable being in the classroom, that they can work from home, which sounds weird for a school teacher to work from home. But if they're working from home and have the technology to be able to broadcast, not from home to a classroom of kids, but from home doing some home-to-home type. Just a thought.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all going to be different. We're lucky because Dr. Gomez has her master's in instructional technology. So she's going to be our expert. I'm just going to say she's got her master's in it, and this was in 2006 or 7 when she went back. So she did get in on that. So really, I'm going to count on her a lot on giving me good advice, and also working with the teachers. The company did tell us that if we wanted to, we could kind of go slow with this if we wanted to. So in other words, our teachers start off, we're not saying, hey, you got to put in this system right now. We'll have a year to implement it and get it put into place so that it's not a flipping the switch saying, okay, you got to do something new.
See, and I realize I'm not a teacher, but my thoughts are just the opposite. If we're going to make an investment in this, I would hope that every teacher would use it as much as possible right away in case we go to school for 2 months and then we have to send kids home again. So the transition could be as seamless as possible. The kids would be getting sent home with a system that they were already used to the technology on, and it would make the instruction that much better when we had to go to distance learning.
And I want to say this real quick because you're saying the same thing that I was advised on. No matter what we do, whether we stay with Google Classroom or whether we buy a learning management system, I think the first 2 weeks of school, we train our kids, our teachers, and everybody on it so that if that happens, we're already in that system. I had somebody else recommend me start school and force people to start off that way, and I went, no, that's going a little too far. But I do think we spend the first couple of weeks train our kids and our teachers on that, so that if that does happen, we're ready.
It seems like there's some things we can do there, even with the homework and the feedback loops that were set up inside that program, that we ought to know if it's workable. But again, I would ask the educators what they think about it, and see if it is workable. I just didn't get a feeling there was anything. I get a feeling there's not a cohesive opinion here on where we need to go, and I realize the time frame is really short.
Oh, it's short. It is short.
We need it by the start of school,
Yeah.
but it's hard to get feedback from teachers until school starts.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can start with Google Classroom.
Oh, we can do
and
something,
then
yes.
and purchase it later, if we choose to.
Yeah, but I like the initially start up and train and hope we don't have to use it.
Yeah, you have to be
We
trained.
need to be prepared. We lost 2 months of education.
Well, some of the stuff I'm reading, guys, is, 10%. If, 10% of your student body starts having it, then schools will close. You've got to close your school
So we
for
need
so
to
many
be ready.
days. So we need to be ready.
Yes, sir. Okay, but we're tabling it for now.
Yep.
Okay, consideration and possible action on stipend for instructional coaches.
Yes, this is, I recommend the board approve a $5,000 stipend for instructional coaches for grades K through 8. And I'll have a list of personnel. That is, Stacy Erickson and Lacey Robertson.
This was previously recommended by Dr. Little.
Dr. Little, this is Dr. Little and Todd White's plan. That I'm trying to continue.
Okay. This time I'd entertain a motion to grant a stipend for instructional coaches.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve a stipend for instructional coaches. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 6-0. All right. Consideration and possible action on recommended personnel for hire on probationary contracts.
Okay, this is a recommendation for approval for hiring new personnel and change for personnel positions. I will name these as I go through here. I support the recommendation for Zane Thomas as a welding teacher at the high school, and Toby Bourne as a welding teacher at the high school. I support Nan Cook to be a part-time junior high PE teacher. I support Theodore Nelson being transferred from a science teacher to a math teacher at junior high. And for Tessa Powell, a junior high teacher, transferring to the high school to be the volleyball coach. I also support recommendations by the athletic director for personal dual term contracts. Tabitha Odell as a volleyball and girls track. Valerie Merkel as a girls basketball. Stacy Erickson as a cross country coach. Johnny Watson as football, softball. And Jesus Ramirez as a softball.
Okay. All right. This time I would consider a motion on the recommended personnel for hire on probationary contracts.
Do we need 2 motions, or can we do it one, since he listed all?
Yes. Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
It's item 4. Okay. How about just one for both? Consideration possible action on recommended personnel for hire and on the positional changes recommended by Mr. Morales.
So,
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 5-0 with 1 abstain. Meeting adjourned.
Meeting done.